Hey everybody, well, what I've got here is exactly what it looks like, and it's a little bit crazy, but I'm a little bit crazy, frankly. You can ask my wife about that. This is two different RAV4 Primes. This is my original RAV4 Prime XSE that I received in October of 2023 that I absolutely loved, still love, and this is my new RAV4 Prime XSE with premium package, 2024. So that's a 2023, this is a 2024. Today, I'm going to cover some of the major differences between these two. Most of the differences stem from the addition of the premium package to this new one, which is also the primary reason why I bought it, like the only reason really. A little bit of a difference between the 2023 and 2024 that I've noticed. I'll get a little deeper into that in probably a second video at some point. So make sure you like and subscribe, etc. I'm not that weird dude that always asks you to do that on every video, but frankly, this is a little side project of mine. I'm a tech consultant as by trade, as a full-time job. This is something I do for fun. So if you want me to keep doing it, you know, maybe I'll make a little money doing it and it'll incentivize me to continue. So anyway, enough about that. Why did I get this car? Well, I'll give you a really quick introduction. Basically, my wife's car died on her. Suddenly, it was a 2019 Honda Pilot. Don't buy one of those, by the way. Long story short, this just dropped into my lap. I was texted by a dealer in Indiana who said, hey, we had a deal fall through. You're not going to believe this, on the premium package XSE RAV4 Prime. They had gotten two all calendar year. I think they've never gotten a premium package before, but they'd gotten two RAV4 Primes all calendar year. And this was only, like the second one they'd gotten, and the deal fell through. So, of course, I texted the guy and said, put the keys in your pocket, please. Don't sell it. I'll drive straight there and I'll buy it. And I did exactly that. And it wasn't quite as good of a deal as the one I got last year, but I did get lease cash on both of them. So it was $6,500 off. I did the lease cash offer. If you need to know more about that, there's plenty of information on the internet about it. But basically what you do is you lease the car and you buy out the lease, the first month, and pay it in full. Therefore, you pay no interest. You only pay a little bit of extra fees. It's something like $700 or $800 in fees, and you get $6,500 back in lease cash. So basically, it's like a net savings of somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 something off the vehicle, and that's what it was here. This one, just to give you some rough numbers again, to review stuff I've talked about in previous videos, I paid about $44.3, I think it was, plus tax for this. Is pretty good for an XSE without the premium package. It does have the weather package, pretty much all of those do, and I'll get to that in a minute, a little more in detail. But this one, it wasn't as good of a deal. Had a couple $1,000s of already dealer installed add-ons that I could not take off, and it was something like $49K plus tax. But again, sometimes you got to sacrifice a little bit to get what you want. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I think the addition of the premium package is worth almost $5,000, and I'll talk about that exactly and tell you why right now. So first of all, it adds a lot of stuff, specifically 12 things if you compare it to just the weather package, which almost all XSEs have. You almost can't find one without the weather package, which is good. Weather package is neat. It gives you the de-iced or the de-icing windshield wipers. So if you have like a really cold day, they heat up down here. You can see the coil down there. And then it also gives you the heated steering wheel. And I believe it gives you the rear heated outboard seats, which my kids love. And I have that in the old one. I'll show you the buttons here, right here. So the kids like that. Obviously, she doesn't get to take advantage of that, but he does. They love it. It's a great feature. But on top of that, the premium package, which just builds on that, it adds all those features, but then a whole bunch more. Starts out with some stuff that is truly luxury adjacent. I mean, it's things that you almost always never find in anything but luxury vehicles. And there are some top trim Toyotas like Platinums. I'm going to start with the one you really can't see. I don't think you can see it at all. There is a head-up display. Do you see that? It's flickering on video. It does not flicker when you're actually using the car, by the way, so don't worry about that. But that head-up display is something I didn't think I'd like as much as I actually do. It's a really neat feature to have, and it really does make things a lot nicer. And then in addition to that, while I got this thing on, you also get this 360 cam, which, it still gives you the backup cam and all that stuff. There's no difference there as far as I can tell. I think the resolution's the same, which, by the way, you can tap on this and get the regular view. I think if you keep tapping it, it goes back to, yeah. It's really neat. So you can see the curb. See how it paints in the curb underneath? That is really cool. I mean, it's a neat premium feature. And again, a lot of the really top trim Toyotas do have this. It's the same, as far as I can tell, as what's in the Lexuses. Look, there's the parking sensors. That's the third thing. So I'm actually kind of giving away the game here with all these little demos. But by the way, you saw when I was going back forward, it does it too. I think it's when it's under 10 miles per hour, it automatically will turn that on. So that's pretty neat. So those are the big 3 digital things. Oh yeah, I forgot one more actually. That is this. The mirror now is also a digital rear view mirror, which of course, if you hear those beeps, by the way, you can't turn those off. It's the 6 beeps is a Toyota/Lexus thing that will never go away apparently. But anyway, this digital rear view mirror, if you pack the back full of stuff, it's really neat to have. And apologies for the cuts, had a couple of video glitches there. Anyway, so continuing, that's the major stuff. Obviously with the 360 cam, you also get all these extra cameras around the perimeter, and as well as with the parking sensors. These do not exist on the XSE. Not a huge thing to be lacking, but a conspicuous one considering how much money, you know, this thing actually costs before the lease cash. Now after the lease cash, you know, talk about $44K plus tax. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, you know, I'm not telling you you shouldn't buy this. In fact, I would buy it instantly. If you're on the list for this, don't feel like this is me trashing this. I love this car. Okay, I'm just telling you about these bonus features that you get, which are pretty substantial. So anyway, the next thing, and maybe the biggest thing for me, and I talked about this in the original video, and I do like these. I like the ones in the XSE, but these seats, you know, they are very nice. They're very comfortable. I disagree with a lot of the feedback, and I know everybody's mixed on this stuff anyway, because it's a preferential thing. It's almost like a mattress, but people talk about how they don't maybe like how firm they are. They think maybe they're not as comfortable as they should be for long trips. Most notably, I think people criticize also the lack of lumbar support maybe in the passenger seat, and the fact that you can't height adjust it on the XSE model. Well, that's all fair. I mean, I know that some people have differing opinions on this, but I thought these were very comfortable. We took a 10-hour trip in them recently, and I had no trouble with them, except for one thing, and that is that they do trap heat a little bit more than I would like. Obviously, they're black, and that doesn't help, but so are these. You can't really get a different color. And this stuff here, while it is durable and quite nice, is actually the same as this, I think. It's just a differently textured version of that. And therefore, it doesn't really breathe all that well. That is one negative of that approach, even though they're nice quality. Well, of course, in the premium package, and this is what I talked about originally that I really wanted, is these seats. Number one, look at them. They just look absolutely gorgeous. And I do think they're a little bit softer. And I think the reason for that is that they're perforated. That's my personal opinion. I doubt it has anything to do with the cushioning that they put into them. It's probably the same. But this just looks awesome, right? I mean, like, it's an amazing looking, premium looking seat. This one looks good, but certainly a little bit less premium. I think it's, you know, it's a neat looking seat, but you wouldn't look at it and think, oh, that's, you know, that almost looks like a Lexus. This one actually looks kind of almost like what you would find in, you know, like a sports car version of like a Lexus or something. It's really cool. And this feels great on your back also. These are also ventilated seats, and that's huge for me. Some people have also criticized the fact that the ventilation in the seats is not really cooled. It's actually a version of ventilation that just kind of recirculates the cabin temperature air, I think. But I still think it makes a big difference. And I'll notice also when I'm driving that the ventilation also extends to the top up here. So this is also ventilated. It actually comes through, as far as I can tell, the entire seat back and seat bottom, which to me is a huge, huge benefit. So that's the first thing. Oh, and while I'm over here, one thing you don't get on the XSE version that you get on the XSE with premium package is the power adjustable passenger seat, and it's only 4-way, so it's not, it does height adjust though, look, and you don't get that in the regular XSE. Again, you might say to yourself, how is it they omit that in a vehicle that's nearly top trim and still, you know, of MSRP terms, it's almost $50,000. But all you get is a manually adjustable seat. So that's a little bit silly. While we're on the topic of seats, I'll go ahead and talk about this too. Another thing is when you have two different drivers in the same vehicle with the regular XSE or any other trim, you know, the SE trim, you don't get driver's memory seat. You just get, you know, one setting, and the driver has to adjust when they get into the car. And of course, the steering wheel is always manually adjustable. This is not a Lexus, again. But on the XSE with premium package, you not only get the adjustable seat, of course, the same there, but you also get driver's memory for two different drivers. That's really nice because obviously with my spouse, who's quite a bit shorter than I am, she has her memory and I have mine. I press it, it adjusts. Not much of a difference there. I haven't really set mine yet, but steering wheel doesn't do anything. You got to adjust that yourself manually. But other than that, it's the same thing. So, and by the way, while I'm over here, you can also see the 360 cam adjustment there, or the button there, I mean, and then also this has the AC 120 volt. And then here are the different controls for the seats. So you got ventilation. When you turn that on, this comes up in blue. And then when you turn this on, this is orange. So the seat heater is still intact. It still works just as well as it does on the XSE. And of course, you still have the rear heated seats, and they still look like this. They just have a single setting. So no major differences there. And over here, I'll just show you what these look like again for comparison purposes. It's just a standard high-low button. There are actually 3 settings, therefore, on the XSE with premium package, and there are 2 settings on the regular XSE. I mean, who cares? Who needs 3 settings, right? So that's the major stuff in the front. Other things that are different, though, and the big one that I really like back here, actually, is that in the regular XSE, you get a rear, by the way, apologies for the mess because my wife has already put a bunch of stuff in this car and I haven't cleaned it recently, as you can tell. You just get a standard cigarette lighter, which I actually broke off the thing recently. You know, nothing major. And of course, that's only like, I think 100 watts maybe. I don't know if I'm wrong about that. Somewhere in the neighborhood. I think it says it on that cap right there. Apparently it's, yeah, 12 volt, 120 watts, sorry. But this is 1500 watts. And that's a really nice thing to have. You can power like a fridge, maybe more than just that. If you're ever camping with this car, or you're out and about, or you work from the car or something, that's really cool. I think that's a neat feature. It's something I really did want to have, and you only get it with the premium package. And the next thing is, and this, I never can get this to work, or I never really mess with it, but you put your foot under there and it does hands-free open. Okay, so it actually worked. By the way, I think this opens and closes faster than the one on the XSE. I'll do a comparison of that and post it separately pretty soon here if you want to take a look out for that. The next thing I want to mention is also you get all 4 doors with smart key on this. And on the XSE standard, you only get the front 2 doors with smart key. I mean, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter that much, but it is kind of handy to be able to just grab the back door and, you know, also lock it from there. You also heard this unlock. I will mention one negative here while I'm on this topic. This actually is not a difference between the premium package and the XSE. This is a difference between, as far as I know, the 2023 and the 2024 versions of this car. It's a strange thing to omit, but Toshiba, Toyota has actually simplified the whole interface with respect to this locking. It actually locks by default if the car is locked when you plug in the plug. And I think this stays locked no matter what. If you lock the car, you can't open this up. And there's no setting on the multi-information display to disable that any longer like there was on this one. If you watched my video, my quick tips video or whatever it was, tips and tricks, I went through pretty much every setting on the multi-information display and explained how you adjust that stuff. You cannot do it on the 2024 model. Shout out to RAV4 World Forums where people have already discussed this as well at length. I do think that's a strange omission, but the fact that you can leave the car unlocked and plug it in and not have it lock the port or the cover is probably just as fine. I mean, who really cares about that? It's not like a deal breaker or anything like that. And really the final thing that is different, substantially different, I guess I'd say, between the trims is that this one gets a standard sunroof, which, you know, you have to open and close this manually. And of course the sunroof is motorized. Whereas this one gets a panoramic moonroof where the whole thing is an automated shade. Definitely a lot more premium, although you get this giant bar in the middle that lacks in some of the competitors. People have complained about that. I don't really care. I mean, obviously like the Teslas and things like that have like a giant glass roof and it's all just one big pano piece of glass, but this opens and closes that shade. Pretty neat. You can't do it while the car's off, I guess. I haven't really played with this much. But that's the biggest differences here. The premium package, you know, adds 12 features by my count. That was all 12 of them. I hope that I went through all 12 there. I honestly cannot imagine a scenario where you'd have both of these cars on the lot and you could pick and choose between the 2 of them and you wouldn't add the roughly $2,100 net MSRP difference to get those 12 features, because this thing feels truly Lexus adjacent once you have those things. I mean, it feels like you're buying a Lexus with a Toyota badge. I mean, like, and how could you say anything different about it? I mean, like, there's not much lacking here except for maybe real leather, like actual cooled seats, and some of the niceties that go along with that stuff. So, I mean, like maybe smog detection, right? That was something else when we test drove the RX 450 HL. That's kind of neat, but those are all things you don't really need. And, you know, of course, you have to have higher octane gasoline and things like that when you drive, say, for instance, an RX 450 HL. Or I think an NX, I'm not sure about that. So make sure you check into that stuff if you're looking at the Lexuses. But as for the RAV4 Primes, I know these are impossible to get. So don't feel like I'm trying to tell you that you should only spring for this package. If you have it available, obviously you should look for it. I mean, I think in California and New England, they're more available, sometimes even a little bit below MSRP at this point, which is kind of crazy to me. But if you have an XSE that you're on the list for and you think you're going to be able to obtain that, I'd say go ahead and get it. I mean, there's no reason not to get it. It's still an amazing value, an amazing car. It gets awesome gas mileage. I'm going to come back into that topic a little more as I approach 15,000 miles in this thing. I'm going to do like more of a long-term review impressions video to kind of give people an idea of what I like and dislike about this car. There's not a lot I dislike about it, but pretty much all of it has been resolved with this premium package model. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. And I hope it's answered some of your questions. I'm going to continue to post more. I do have some more observations I want to get into that would probably fit better into a second video. This is kind of more of an introductory thing. But yes, I'm a crazy person. And yes, I did buy a second RAV4 Prime. We're going to be driving this one for at least the next 8 to 12 months before we trade it in for around the value we paid for it, which is crazy. Thank you, federal government. And we're going to be getting a Highlander hybrid. That's the ultimate plan here. But this is going to remain mine. I love it. I hope I can drive it for the next 10 or 15 years, and I certainly plan to. Thanks again. Please click that like or subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again very soon.